This is Jarrod Horak, and it's the day after the Preakness Stakes now, so it's Sunday, May 19th. And in this video, I'm going to go through all the Preakness entrants, see what's next for them. Then I'm going to preview the Belmont Stakes. Right now, it looks like there's 10 horses possible at this early stage for the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga on June 8th. Now, your Preakness winner of Seize the Grey, he seemed to come out of the race in good order, according to his trainer, Dwayne Lucas. He's possible for the Belmont Stakes, but we're going to know more next week. Lucas likes to run his horses, and he wants to run in the Belmont if he's doing well. And Seize the Grey is a horse that thrives on activity as well. And he won an allowance route race at Oaklawn Park on February 24th. That was on dirt. His next start, in his second start this year, he was third in the Grade 3 Jeff Ruby Stakes on all-weather ground at 1 1/8 miles on March 23rd. And he was seventh in the Grade 1 Bluegrass Stakes on April 6th. They tried to get him into the Kentucky Derby. He had a total of 27 Kentucky Derby points, and that would have put him on the also eligible list. So Wayne Lucas opted to not put him on that list. He wanted to run him in the Grade 2 Pat Day Mile instead on the Kentucky Derby undercard. And in that race, he was all over the pace early, dropped back to track the pace, and then he was able to come again, win that race. Nice effort there in that one-turn mile. And then he stretched back out in the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes on Saturday, and he just went right out there and he wired the field. So he was back in 2 weeks. Excellent effort. Now he's the now horse in this division, and he looks like one that's going to be a forwardly placed factor in all of his races at this point. And everything really did seem to fall into place for Seize the Grey in the Preakness. You had your morning line favorite, expected front runner in the Preakness, Muth, came down with a fever, and he had to scratch the week of the Preakness Stakes. And then the track did come up wet, and it was speed favoring as well. And then everybody thought that Muth's stablemate Imagination from the outside post under Frankie Dettori was going to be going to the lead, but they decided not to send him to the lead. They were going to let Seize the Grey, when Seize the Grey got the lead, they let him go, and they tracked him, but Seize the Grey never looked back. He took the early initiative. Jaime Torres just put him right on the lead, and he just kept on going. Nice effort there. So Seize the Grey in really good form right now. He's, as I said, the now horse in this division with back-to-back graded stakes wins. And whatever race he shows up in, even if it's the Belmont Stakes, you know he's going to make his presence felt from the outset. Now, Mystik Dan, your Kentucky Derby winner, he was second in the Preakness Stakes. Now, he was, in his last 4 starts, he was first in the Southwest Stakes on wet ground, third in the Arkansas Derby, then first in the Kentucky Derby, and then second in the Preakness. So he's definitely found a lot of consistency in his last 4 starts for trainer Kenny McPeak. He's possible for the Belmont. They're going to see how he comes out of the Preakness Stakes, and then they have 3 weeks to decide if they want to run him again or have a fresh horse for later this summer. Now, Catching Freedom is not expected to run in the Belmont Stakes. He was 4th in the Kentucky Derby, 3rd in the Preakness Stakes, and his next race is undecided. Tuscan Gold, my top choice in the Preakness Stakes. He ended up finishing 4th, really wasn't a threat. Chad Brown said that he didn't handle the wet track. And then also, as I said, the track was speed favoring. He got bumped right out of the gate. He lost early position. They had to scoot towards the inside from off the pace. Nobody really came back to the field. He was spinning his wheels, just wasn't handling the track like he does a fast track. And wasn't able to get into that forward position, and then just ended up finding his best stride too late, finishing 4th. Belmont Stakes is possible. They want to have him on a fast track next time. He's one that still has a lot of potential to be a decent horse in this division. Now, 5th place Preakness finisher Just Steel. He came out of the Preakness Stakes with a condylar fracture of his right front leg. It's going to require surgery. It's not expected to be life-threatening, but we'll know more soon. We don't know about his racing future or anything else until after he has that surgery. Now, Uncle Heavy was the next one, finishing 6th in the Preakness. His trainer said he didn't handle the wet track either. He was 2 for 2 on a wet track prior to this race. But that goes to my point when I did my wet track video where I said every wet track is different. You have the wet tracks, they play differently. Sometimes they're tiring, it's muddy, favors off the pace types. Sometimes they're the sealed tracks like the Preakness was, and speed horses do better. Uncle Heavy just wasn't able to run his race. They're going to look for an easier spot for him next time. Imagination's going to head back to California. He's not going to run in the Belmont Stakes for Bob Baffert. Now, Frankie Dettori and Bob Baffert, they regret their decision to rate and just not go to the lead. Don't know if it really would have made any difference, but definitely their strategy should have been just to go right out to the front, play Catch Me If You Can, like they did with Seize the Grey. But Baffert did acknowledge that the winner was just best that day, and that's horse racing. Now, Muth was a Preakness scratch for Bob Baffert, and he continues to recover from a fever that he had Preakness week, which forced him out of the race. And if everything goes well, he gets healthy again. He's going to target the Grade 1 Haskell at Monmouth Park on July 20th. He's got the right running style for that race, and Bob Baffert has had a lot of success in the Haskell Stakes over the years. We'll have to see if he ends up there. And then Mugatu finished last in the Preakness Stakes. According to his trainer, Jeff Englar, he bled and he displaced his palate, just wasn't able to run his race at all that day. Don't really know what's next for him. Now, the Belmont Stakes, early list of probables, and the Belmont Stakes is going to be run June 8th at Saratoga Racecourse this spring at 1.25 miles. Now, typically the Belmont Stakes is at Belmont Park at 1.5 miles. We're having construction at Belmont Park, so the Belmont Stakes has been moved to Saratoga this year, and it's been shortened to 1.25 miles. We have 10 possible runners up to this point, and I'll put the field up on the screen now, and these are the possibles. This is as of May 19th. Now, we're going to definitely have some changes. All these horses may not go. We may see some of these horses not go, and then maybe some other names jump in. We do have 3 weeks between the Preakness and Belmont, so we'll have to see how all that plays out. But this is how the field looks right now. And I'll also have on the screen with the trainer, the last rider that rode these horses, their last start, and their running style. Antiquarian, and I'm doing this in alphabetical order. Antiquarian is the first name on the list for trainer Todd Pletcher. John Velasquez rode him last time. He was first in the Peter Pan Stakes. He was stalking the pace. He was able to run down the Wine Steward in the stretch and win that race. They always thought that he would be better at longer distances. He's one that's on the improve. That was a good effort last time, but he's going to have to pick up his game. He does like to stalk the pace. Now, Dornoch for trainer Danny Gargan is the next name on the list. And Luis Saez rode him in the Kentucky Derby, and he finished 10th. He was expected to be up on the pace in the Derby. He didn't get up on the pace, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway, most likely because that pace was fast, and all the horses that were up on the pace ended up fading. So he ended up finishing 10th. He has early pressing speed, and he's one that will probably try to get involved in the pace scenario in the Belmont Stakes. Fierceness, the beaten Kentucky Derby favorite for trainer Todd Pletcher. John Velasquez rode him. He's his regular rider, and he was 15th in the Kentucky Derby. And he was up on the pace. He got cooked on that pace, just like all the other early runners. If you look at his career, every other race he seems to fire, where he won his debut and then he disappointed in the Champagne, bounced back with a big win in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He was named your 2-year-old champion, came back in the Holy Bull Stakes this year. He finished third, a disappointing effort, bounced back with a huge win in the Florida Derby, and then he regressed in the Kentucky Derby. So he's won every other race. He's been firing. So Fierceness, will the good version of Fierceness show up if he runs in the Belmont, or the bad version of Fierceness? You just never know what you're going to get from him. Honor Marie for trainer Whitworth Beckman. Ben Curtis rode him in the Kentucky Derby. He was 7th. He had some trouble. The race did set up for a closer. He ended up finishing 7th. It wasn't a bad effort considering. So look for him for off the pace if he does show up in the Belmont Stakes. Now for Honor Marie, he has had a workout since he ran in the Kentucky Derby. 4 furlongs in 49.20 seconds. That's 28th best of 57 at Churchill Downs on May 18th. And according to Daily Racing Form, his Kentucky Derby rider Ben Curtis had a broken collarbone at Delaware Park on May 18th. He's not going to be able to ride him in the Belmont Stakes. Now, Florent Giroux was up for the workout for Honor Marie on May 18th, and he might get the mount in the Belmont Stakes. So we'll have to see how all of that plays out. Now, the next one is Mystik Dan. He's possible for the race. Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez Jr., 2nd in the Preakness Stakes last time, 1st in the Derby before that. He likes to stalk the pace. Seize the Gray, your Preakness winner. He's possible for the Belmont for trainer D. Wayne Lucas. Jaime Torres will ride him again if he runs in the Belmont. And that was a good effort in the Preakness, good effort in the Pat Day Mile. So he's sharp right now, and he has good early pressing speed. Sierra Leone, he was my top choice in the Kentucky Derby, and he probably should have won that race. Actually, he should have won that race, no probable about it. Chad Brown's his trainer. Tyler Gaffleone's his rider. He was 2nd in the Kentucky Derby. He was making a nice run from off the pace. He was getting to Mystik Dan in the stretch, but he was lugging in, not running a straight line, and that cost him the win. If he just would have been able to stay straight, he would have run down Mystik Dan and won that race. So he's a closer, very consistent. He's always 1st or 2nd. He was the Grade 1 Bluegrass Stakes winner, and in his 2 losses, he lost both of those races by a nose, And he had his first workout since the Kentucky Derby in company with domestic product at Saratoga on the training track on May 18th. 4 furlongs in 48.20 seconds, third best of 31. So he's already at Saratoga. He's fresh. He's going to probably be a horse to beat if the pace is to his liking. Now the next one is the Wine Steward. He's possible for trainer Michael Maker. Now Luis Saez rode him in the Peter Pan Stakes. I picked him as my top choice in the Peter Pan. He ended up running second. He pressed. He led. Antiquarian ran him down. I had that exacta. It was a decent exacta because Antiquarian was my second choice. So my top two in the Peter Pan ran 1, 2, and they're both possible for the Belmont Stakes. And the Wine Steward is a New York bred. He likes to stalk the pace. I'm not sure about the 1.25 mile distance of the Belmont Stakes for him. He seems to be one that when he gets past the 1.16 and he's up into these 1.125 races like he was in the Peter Pan, maybe a little too far for him. Maybe the company a little bit too much in a grade 1 like this, but he's one that's very consistent. He always runs his race. Now, the 3-year-old filly, Thorpedo Anna for Ken McPeak, is possible to run in the Belmont Stakes as well. Brian Hernandez Jr. is her rider, and she was first in the Kentucky Oaks, and she has early pressing speed. She's in excellent form this year. She likes to be all over the pace, and she's one that has had a workout since winning the Kentucky Oaks. 4 furlongs in 48 flat, 16th best of 48 at Churchill Downs on May 16th. She is possible for the Belmont Stakes, but they would have to pay a $50,000 supplemental fee to make her eligible to the race. Or she could also run Belmont Stakes week in the Grade 1 Acorn Stakes. We'll have to see what direction they end up going. Still a few weeks to make that decision for trainer Kenny McPeak. And then we have Tuscan Gold. As I mentioned, for trainer Chad Brown, he gives Chad Brown a second possible for the Belmont Stakes along with Sierra Leone. And Tyler Gaffalione rode him to his 4th place finish in the Preakness Stakes. He's only had 4 lifetime starts. As I said, trainer said he didn't handle the wet track. Just the race flow was against him. He just didn't have the right trip, the right anything. Everything kind of went wrong for him in that Preakness Stakes. So he wasn't able to show his best race that day. He likes to stalk the pace. We'll have to see if they come back in 3 weeks. They want to run him on a fast track next time. So that's a look at the 10 horses that are possible for the Belmont Stakes up to this point. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this horse racing content. We want to keep this YouTube channel growing. I just went over 1 million total views for all of my videos since I started my channel. So the channel continues to grow. We're getting a lot of subscribers. I've been doing a lot of videos for this Triple Crown series. I'll continue to do these videos. And as we know more about the Belmont Stakes, I'll keep you up to date. And if you're interested in my full card analysis of Belmont Stakes week at Saratoga, I'm going to do all 4 of the Belmont Stakes Festival full cards, June 6th, Thursday, June 7th, Friday, then June 8th, Belmont Stakes Day, and then June 9th. I'm going to have full cards available for all of those races at therunawayhorse.com on my sales page, and look for those Belmont Stakes week. And that'll wrap up this video. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.